absolutely exciting to think about this duo working together. I think it's pretty electric.
The guy can still play, Matt. The guy can still play.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
May be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Appreciate the Tennessee Titans, Julio Jones, the Atlanta Falcons. Like, it's great that this all intersected with the release of the data for the priority young players on the website, because obviously this is going to impact A.J. Brown, who was released yesterday. Not released from the Titans. There were some questions starting to creep in his early 30s, but obviously I don't think Julio's about to, go the way of Antonio Brown, right? Like, I'm not projecting that one. We have seen a lot of receiver movement, but I mean, Julio Jones might go down. And again, Antonio Brown was the same guy, but just totally different situation. Like, Brown and Julio are guys that have been moved over the last few off seasons that legitimately have cases to be some of the best, like, 5 receivers to ever play.
Look, Julio Jones is going to the Hall of Fame, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a Hall of Famer. Usually when you see players like this, get into their 30s, it's usually, they don't usually get moved for a trade. It's like their production has fallen off. Their injuries have started to pile up. They end up getting a release in like a nice tweet on the way out. You know what I mean?
I think it's a slam dunk trade for the Titans. I also think, by the way, like, they had to do this. How often have we been saying this offseason that, like, the Titans offense is extremely shallow, right? They're very top heavy with Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, who are two of the best players at their position. They're going to go off the board, or pre Julio Jones trade, both of these guys were going off the board as like top 6 at their respective positions in fantasy football. And they still might not have a very good defense. Like, they might at best be, I think that the best that they can hope for is being like the 20th best defense in the NFL. So they needed like a needle mover, and this is like a massive swing in terms of that needle movement. So it was like a very necessary move for the Titans to make too.
I look at their defense. I'm actually intrigued. I don't think they're going to be that bad. This is totally outside of our normal realm of discussion, but look, they get a guy like Jack Rabbit Jenkins. I like, Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, Jayon Brown is that. Bud Dupree is in the mix too, right? So, like, I don't know. I'm actually kind of sort of intrigued by this defense.
They were awful last year for starters, and you're right. They've had some turnover there in terms of guys that they've brought in. Are we that excited about Bud Dupree taking over as the theoretical top pass rusher on this team when he's like not going to be playing across? Yeah, right. Not playing across from TJ Watt anymore. Mike Vrabel. And I like Mike Vrabel as a coach, by the way, and as a vibes guy. I'm big on Vrabel as a vibes guy for sure. So really only one of those years, his first season with the Titans, did he oversee a big-time defense. But it is worth noting that he is a former NFL defensive player and was a defensive coach. And the Titans defense, the last stinks, has been really bad. Yeah. I think the Titans were going to have to throw the ball more this year because of that defense, as we mentioned, and just overall team regression. Last thing is you need to be really, really, really good at football to be the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy. Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, they qualify. And after his 2020 reception perception sample, I am all the way in on A.J. Brown being that kind of player. A.J. Brown right now among the guys that are on the website. Obviously, some more players will be added, so he could be taken down. But I don't know that that's going to happen because he right now has a 79% success rate versus man coverage. That leads all players that are on receptionperception.com right now. It comes out at the 97th percentile in reception perception history. I think we can confidently say that A.J. Brown was the best receiver against man coverage last year. He's an elite player. I think I'm ready to put him in that category. 97th percentile against press. Like, you hear people throw around the TO comparison with him. I think it fits with A.J. Brown. He's that type of guy. He's also awesome at the catch point. He's awesome vertically, every area of the route tree. I mean, I could not be more bullish on this player. Julio Jones is obviously, like we said, future Hall of Famer. He's going to command a pretty decent target share, but the upside is still there for if and when Jones does get hurt. then it's back to the A.J. Brown show. So I'm not dinging him too much in terms of drafts right now.
I'm looking at your numbers here, right? Like A.J. Brown compares favorably and actually better than Allen Robinson in a number of metrics. You know, you've got him charted out as having a better success rate on the curl, better success rate on the dig, better success rate on the post, on the 9, you know, similar numbers on corner routes. So this is a player just from a route running perspective, separation perspective, Matt, that you've charted out as you know, better than Allen Robinson in a lot of degrees.
Listen, I think that A.J. Brown is ready to join that crop of players. You know, even with Julio Jones right now in the mix, there's still going to be plenty of volume going Brown's way. He's still going to put those numbers up. Jones is well up there, 88th percentile against man coverage last year. And Brown, but I wanted to double back on this point. Let's not forget all this stuff that we're talking about with A.J. Brown, like all of these great reception perception metrics. This guy said he should have been out for the season in like week 2. Remember when he went live on Instagram and said he was basically banged up all year? Like,
right.
This might just be the beginning of something really special. Jones, Brown, that you can't double cover both.
Nope.
You can think whatever you want about Josh Reynolds, but you're not dedicating 4 defenders to other receivers. It just doesn't work that way in the NFL. And especially if you do that, they have a running back in Derrick Henry that you're supposed to crowd the box against. What do you do here?
Think about what Ryan Tannehill did last year, right? A top 10-ish fantasy quarterback last year. I think he was actually top 8, if I'm not mistaken. I have it somewhere here. Anyways, but like, let's say he's like top 8 fantasy quarterback. He had 40 total touchdowns, okay? This is a team that threw the ball the 3rd fewest in the NFL. Think about how efficient that is. Does this move elevate Tennessee into that Kansas City stratosphere where it's like, okay, this is a team now that a Super Bowl contender. They're going to be one of the 2 or 3, you know, best teams in the NFL, let alone the AFC. Definitely one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the AFC. Are they one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFL? Does this move elevate them into that next tier?
I still have too many questions about the defense to really put them in that group, you know, and also they have Ryan Tannehill, who's great, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. So, you know, I don't think he's up there. Like, this team is not up there with Kansas City right now. He is a coverage dictator, a game changer, and you're going to put defenses in such a bind because they're both elite receivers against man coverage, and you know, you forget about trying to stack the box all the time, right? Like you just can't do it with this offense right now. So it's definitely a game changer.
A.J. Brown, double-digit touchdowns last year, 3rd fewest pass attempts in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans, man. Like, now you add Julio Jones into the mix. And again, you're not going to what are you going to look? This is a team that clearly wants to run the ball, right? We're talking about a running back that compiled, you know, 2,000 yards. So you're going to stop that run. Defenses are going to stop that run. What does that mean? That means you're going to see single high safety. That means you're going to see one-on-one coverage on the outside. Good luck, man.